Hi and welcome. My name is Whitney and I'm an anesthesia intern documenting my journey as I go through my first year of residency. I am currently on my general surgery block and I just finished up week 3, so we are 3/4 of the way done, just one more week to go. For today's video, I wanted to do something a little bit different, and instead of talking about what I'm doing while I'm at the hospital working, I wanted to talk a little bit more about what I actually do on my days off. During this 4 week rotation, I only have 4 days off, so I feel like my days off are very important to me, and I try to make really good use of my time. So I just wanted to share what I'm actually doing on my days off. So it'll look a little bit different in terms of what we're going to be talking about. But as always, I will finish up the video with how many hours I actually ended up working this week. All right, so let's go ahead and get into it. All right, so I think the first thing I will bring up, which I'm sure this is very obvious, but I do just want to say that only having one day off is kind of hard. Just because I feel like you're trying to fit so much into your one day where you don't have to be anywhere, go anywhere, have any like really responsibilities in terms of work. Um, and it's really hard because you want to use that time for both resting and relaxing after like working a really long week, but you also need to balance that with getting ready for the next week. So it is pretty tricky. I feel like I try to fit a lot into every day that I have off, but I don't know. It's just been hard. They're very busy days still, even with it being off. But I feel like I just got to make the most of it while I can, just because our time off is really limited. So, since my time off is actually pretty limited, I try to make the day feel as long as possible in terms of like having my day off. So, one of the ways I do that is by waking up pretty much at the same time as on my day off as I do as if I was like going into the hospital. So just meaning like very early in the morning. So I'm usually waking up between like 4:45 and 5 o'clock in the morning. And part of that is by choice. Like I do want to wake up that early, but there's other kind of a small part as well where it's not doesn't really feel like choice because especially by this point in the rotation, I feel like I have like this internal alarm clock where I just kind of wake up naturally at that time. I don't necessarily need an alarm clock on my day off to wake up that early, but I do set one just in case. I just feel like I wake up automatically. So that's been kind of interesting. But I do like waking up in the morning that early, actually. I feel like I'm a lot more productive in the morning. I definitely am a morning person. I have my routine of, like doing so many practice questions and watching some videos. So I really make the most of my time in the morning as I can, especially before my husband gets up and everything like that, just because I feel like it's my time to really, do whatever I can. And I really need to be studying since step 3 is coming up very soon. So I just make the most of it. It is kind of nice because I do get to see the sunrise in the morning from my room. And, usually I'm seeing it from the hospital, so it's always very pretty there. But there's just something about being able to do that at home with like your own little cup of coffee and everything like that, where it's just a little bit more relaxing. So I am not going to complain about, getting up early to be able to do that kind of stuff. I will say part of that kind of has to do with the fact that I keep a pretty routine sleep schedule throughout the rest of the week, so I don't feel like I really need to sleep in. If it ever got to the point where I was just like super exhausted and tired and I felt like I needed the sleep, I would definitely prioritize that. But I don't feel like I really need that right now. I know some people would rather sleep in, and like to each their own. There's definitely not like a right or wrong way for everyone. It's all just like a very personal thing, but I don't know. I would prefer waking up a little bit earlier to get more done on my day off. Okay, so now that we figured out that I'm a morning person, let's go ahead and talk about what I actually do with my full day off. So, I will say right now it's not super exciting just because I am taking step 3 pretty soon. So, a lot of the day is spent studying. I'm usually, waking up really early and I just start studying, and I will probably study till like anywhere between like 2 p.m. and 4 p.m. So a huge chunk of the day is studying. I will take breaks, like whenever my husband is free. So he works from home. So whenever he has like a break or is eating like a snack or breakfast, lunch, whatever it is, that's usually when I'll take a break. But outside of that, I try to not really interrupt myself too much just because I feel like I'm on a roll when I'm studying. So that's the main focus on the day off right now. After I am done studying, I'll kind of see how I'm feeling. If I don't feel too bad, I will work out. We have a little gym set up at home, so I'll just do something for like 30, 45 minutes. But if I don't feel like doing that, if I'm just too tired, I do kind of give myself some grace just because it is a really tiring time and I don't want to push myself too much in that regard. So I might work out, I might watch some TV. I really just see at that point like how I'm feeling overall in terms of like what else I feel like I have to do that day. Outside of that, I really am just getting ready for the week. The big part of that for me is just like preparing my food for throughout the week. At the beginning of this block, I did make my like big batch of breakfast burritos that I put in the freezer, which I talked about in a previous video. But so I didn't really have to worry about like what kind of breakfast items I was going to eat throughout this rotation. But my lunches, I was a little bit more particular on. So like on my day off, I would, if I had to go to the grocery store, I would. Thankfully, my husband usually does that for me though, so I don't have to worry about that too much. I can just like focus on making the food when I have my day off. So I'll spend maybe like 30 minutes just preparing, like food for the rest of the week in terms of my lunches. It's usually just like a salad, and so I'll like make a dressing and cut up some vegetables or, like whatever I need for that. It usually doesn't take too much time. And then that's really all that I try to do on my day off. I feel like I don't really want to like push myself too much. I know there's things that have to get done and that's what I really focus on. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like it's not the most exciting days off, but I am able to get a lot done and that within itself kind of is like a nice feeling for me just because during the week I feel like I get so behind on so many things. So I really look forward to my days off for that reason. So that is how I spent, I guess, two of the three of my days off so far in this rotation. But last week was my birthday, actually. So when I did have my day off, I wanted to celebrate a little bit and take a little bit of a break just because you can't always be working. You got to balance it a little bit with some really truly off time. So, yes, I didn't have my actual birthday off. We just kind of celebrated on my day off. And again, to, like make the most of that time off, I began celebrating like the night before my day off. So Thursday's been my day off during this rotation. So Wednesday night, once I got off of work, I pretty much just wanted to like go do fun things. So on Wednesday night, we, instead of eating at home, we like went out and kind of just like a night out on the town, which I was on a Wednesday, so not like super exciting, but we got to like try some new things and go to some new places. So that was really fun. And then on my actual day off on Thursday, I did study for a little bit, probably like late morning to mid afternoon. So not as like a full day of studying, but just a little bit just because I knew I had to get some stuff done. But otherwise, we kind of just made it a fun day. We like went out to a couple coffee shops and tried some places we hadn't been before, which was really fun for us. And then at night we went out for dinner, and after that we kind of just like relaxed and played some games. So it was really nice for that time. I felt like I did get to celebrate my birthday. So I just wanted to share that, kind of like a difference on what I'm doing on my days off. Just because, I think I talk a lot about like how hard residency can be in terms of like how many hours you work and how often you're away from home and, not doing things that you want to be doing, how you have to be like very disciplined still even. And I will say that's like a huge chunk of residency, but I have found that there are quite a few times where I feel a little bit more relaxed and like I can actually like go out and do things. And I don't know what I was expecting before starting residency, but it's been kind of a nice surprise. Like I saw I was going to be on this more time intensive rotation on my birthday at the very beginning of the year. And I was kind of like, oh man, that's kind of a bummer. I feel like I'm not going to be able to, like celebrate or do anything. But like we ended up celebrating and I had a really nice time doing that. It wasn't exactly on my birthday or anything like that, but I guess you just have to be kind of flexible and kind of make it work however you can. I'm sure there is a big part of that that kind of depends on, like what specialty you end up going to and even which like residency program you go to, because I'm sure that there are some that are, a lot more busy than what I'm doing right now. So I do want to just, acknowledge that and say that. But I don't know. I feel like I was concerned about even this rotation being very heavy hours wise, and somehow I made it work. I will say I'm still only like a couple months into my residency though, so it's still very early on to say like that's exactly how it's going to be throughout the rest of it, but that's just been my impression so far within the first couple months. Okay, well, that's really all that I have for you guys this week. I feel like it wasn't too much just because my days off aren't too exciting as of right now. I just really wanted to show what goes into a day off when you only get 4 days off in a time period. So hopefully it was a little bit helpful in showing, like how I spend my time when I'm not at work, but I know it's not the most exciting. So hopefully it'll get more exciting once I have step three out of the way. But for now, I just kind of have to push through that. So let's go ahead and talk about how many hours I actually ended up working this week. So I will go ahead and pull those up. So I have them just up here. Yep, it's been another long week with Thursday being my day off. Otherwise, I was getting in pretty early and leaving mostly on time. I guess you could say there was a couple of days I left quite a bit later, especially Wednesday. I was leaving at 6 p.m., which at that point I was very ready to go home. I remember that day was like my Friday, and I was like, oh, I just want to, like get out of here and go home. But that's okay. We made it through. So that's really all I have for you today. Thank you so much for joining. I will be back next week when I'm all finished with my surgery rotation. Until then, take care, everyone.